Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hey guys, welcome to another edition of New You, New Life with me, your coach, Jono. Today, we're going to continue in part 2. We're going to continue looking at addiction. And last week in part 1, we focused on the cycle of addiction. Today, I'm going to continue looking at catching up where we last left off and start right there and look at 2 different forms of addiction. And in part 3, we will continue to look at the various forms, the other forms of addiction. So very important, I would like you to think of a tree, and a tree needs soil to be planted in, it needs water, it needs nutrients. And how do we identify a tree? By looking at the leaves, looking at, if it's a fruit-bearing tree, we will see by the fruit what kind of tree it is. And that is what we also find with addiction. Looking at the behavior, we can see coping mechanisms, destructive behavior that is not healthy, which is destructive for not only the person struggling but for their loved ones as well. And so today, continuing with the cycle, I would like to start with the roots. We focused last week a lot on the theme of shame and guilt, and that for me is important, because this is the root that anchors the tree. The experience of shame, guilt, feeling disabled, low self-esteem, even self-loathing as a result thereof, feeling like a victim or victimizing others. And so these are the roots that are anchoring this tree. Then we have other roots that's growing sideways, and these are roots like control, manipulative behavior, roots of rigid thinking, perfectionism, a lot of rigid rules. And then we have don't talk or don't trust, don't feel, rules that you're making for yourself and others, and persecutory behavior. There's also roots like emotional abuse, verbal abuse, even sexual abuse or physical abuse, very traumatic experiences. And we see later on, as the tree begins to grow, that we can see it on the leaves, on the fruit, that the tree is suffering. It's not doing so well. And there's also experiences like abandonment, of being neglected and feeling neglected. Those are all roots of the tree of addiction. And so the tree is growing, and over time we see that the leaves are not so healthy and the fruit is not so healthy. And what does that look like? We see 2 different forms that I would like to focus on today, and then next week we'll continue to look at the other fruit on this tree of addiction. The first one is feelings addiction. This is a fruit, and here we see behavior like envy, envious of others, a lot of sadness, we see a lot of guilt, we see jealousy, we see even hate, there's a lot of anger, rage even, shame, and a lot of fear. These are the feelings addictions. Okay, and these are the fruits belonging to the feelings addiction. And then we have a different fruit, which is what I would like to call people addiction. And here we have some behavior, for example, codependent behavior, also known as a toxic behavior. And then we also have a lot of love sex behavior, acting out behavior. We see a lot of power, a lot of control taking place in this relationship, and we see that this person is really becoming quite dependent on the other for this behavior to show itself. It's a quite dependent relationship. There's co-addictions, where we see using together becomes the cement, I would like to call it, the cement between two people. There's nothing in the relationship if they don't use together. For example, there's a lot of violence and there's a lot of power when we talk of people addictions. I really hope this helps you. If you have more questions, please slide right into my DM, jstherapy@gmail.com. Please go to the comment section and remember to subscribe. Next week we will continue looking at the other forms of addiction, and I would love to hear from you. What helped you? And if you're struggling, please reach out for help. This is your coach saying, stay blessed.